Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Tuesday night. You know what it is. It's Flyers Talk A to D. That's right. Tonight, got kind of a unfortunate conversation to have. 5 game point streak's been snapped. Lost the Colorado Avalanche last night by a score of 3-2. We're going to break that down. What went wrong, what they could have done different. Get this point streak back on track starting tomorrow night, I believe, against the Carolina Hurricanes. We're also going to talk the unfortunate thing that is injuries in the NHL, injuries that the Flyers have unfortunately have accumulated over the last few days. So some key players, who's coming back, when can they be expected? A lot to talk about tonight. So do us all that favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe, Facebook, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Hit that reshare, hit that share. Let's go, boys. Time to talk some puck.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of Flyers Talk A2D right here on A2DRadio.com. I am Matt Sitsuti along with the Dark Wing Brian Daly.
Rocking my boys tonight since they own the TV.
And below me right here on the screen, Mr. Blue Shirt, Mr. Broadway, Mr. Switzerland, Big Bad Brad Ryer. All right. So we got one rocking the Ducks, we got one rocking the Rangers, and we got one rocking one of his favorite bands. So there we go. We got it all covered. So, gentlemen, today's show, as always, is brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, the doc, Dr. Paul Vidal. If you got any aches and pains and it is causing you no end of grief, go to the doc. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Make an appointment. Go to either Burlington or Cherry Hill, New Jersey. He's got great teams in both locations. After a few sessions with them, you won't be feeling those aches and pains anymore. You might feel as good as new. Then everything will be perfect. And the poll question for today is: Flyers will bounce back against the Hurricanes after having their point streak snapped, which of course happened yesterday. Unfortunately, came up a little short against the Colorado Avalanche, and few bounces didn't go their way. Avs took full advantage of that. Flyers also took a couple of penalties they probably shouldn't have taken, and that resulted in an opportunity for the Avs, which they took full advantage of. Flyers did bounce back, though, late, very late in the game in the third period. However, though, not enough for them to walk away with a tie, which meant walking away with a point and pushing overtime, hoping for an extra, which, of course, didn't happen. So after this 3-2 loss, gentlemen, do you feel as though they will bounce back? Agree or disagree?
Gonna agree, of course. They have to. I don't think they played bad against Colorado. I think they had a very good start to the game. Then they had issues clearing the puck in the first period that allowed Colorado to spend a lot of time in the offensive zone. But who was in that? It was Kolosov last night, I believe. He was strong in the first 40 minutes, I thought. A couple hiccups here and there, but all in all, I thought Kolosov played a good game. Defense did a very good job, I thought, against this very tough, elite Colorado Avalanche team. Despite what their record says, this is still a very elite team. They're still very dangerous as long as they have McKinnon, Makar, Logan Connor for some reason likes to play very well against the Flyers. As long as those guys are still on this team, they will always be a dangerous team. My one thing was Konechny's defensive play against Colorado. I want to know where it was on Makar's goal. That's what I want to know. Like, where was he? Definitely not covering his man. But this is a team that's been shown to be a little resilient, especially over the last couple weeks. I do expect them to go out. They always play Carolina well. yeah, the Carolina's quick. Carolina's going to be on the puck. Carolina's going to be up their butt, but they tend to play them well. Don't ask me why. They just do. They definitely play up to Carolina. So I expect them to, especially after the last game, the way that they fought back in that game, I expect to see them definitely get back in the win column against the Carolina Hurricanes tomorrow night.
And let's see what some of the fam is saying. We got Heather saying, I want to agree, but the last time we played the Canes, it was tough. So undecided. And then let's see here. Got me, Metal Mike, chiming in. He's saying, agree. Flyers bounce back, snags 1 point in OT. Okay. And what else we got here? I think that's what we got so far for the poll. So, Brad, how do you feel about it? Do you feel that the Flyers have a chance to bounce back here?
I hate to tell you guys, but no,
So you're
not against this
disagreeing.
Kane. No, I disagree to the poll. You're looking to bounce back against the wrong team. You're looking at a team in the Canes right now who are red hot, and Marty Necas right now is playing like one of the best players in the National Hockey League. He looks like he's definitely gotten to the elite level that we had talked about last week, with 11 goals and 19 assists. He has 30 points now, and he is just rolling right now. And the Canes right now are playing at a very, very high level. Uh, and the Flyers' inability to win at home is certainly not going to be good. Uh, I just they're let's put it this way. It's not that I don't think the Flyers can give them a fight. They will, but Carolina right now is just playing great hockey, and you know, I just, they played him once. They know what to expect. Brendan Moore is a terrific coach, by the way, and I think they're going to be up against it. I think it's going to be 2 losses in a row. That it's just the wrong team for them to have to play against. You're playing two really good teams in a row, and Carolina right now might be the best team in the Eastern Conference at this point in time. So I'm not real optimistic that the Flyers are going to bounce back tomorrow night. I think they'll be competitive, but I'm looking at like probably a 4-2 game. I would say this: don't fall behind that team.
Well, you definitely don't want to fall behind. That's for sure.
Not against them, especially on the road, because they play that road game where they sit back and counter and just wait for you to make mistakes. And if the Flyers make the same mistakes against them that they made in the first period last night against the Avalanche, they could get run out of their own buildings. So they've got to clean that up.
Well, all the same, though, unfortunately, things didn't exactly go according to plan for the Flyers. You get down in the hole, and worst of all, while you did get a goal called back, didn't really matter because you still wound up going 2-0, down 2-0 anyway. And then going down 3-0, that was 1 goal too many, unfortunately. And to be fair, the Flyers, while they were getting some opportunities, there were times where they were having a hard time trying to get pucks down on net. And I think that was because, for one, I think Colorado was handling what the Flyers were throwing at them pretty well for a good portion of the game there. But also, again, started getting into penalty trouble, which unfortunately has also become a regular habit. I mean, they had a great opportunity for 4 minutes on a power play, and they ruined it. Totally ruined it. Yes, Brink didn't mean to catch a player in the face with his stick, but again, it's one of those, what are you doing? You just cost your team a golden opportunity to get back into this game here. And those untimely penalties will sow your demise, and that definitely played a big part in this game. Just way too many bad penalties that they
Especially
took.
against a real good team like Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't give up too many power plays to that team because they will burn you.
Oh, there's plenty of talent there.
Yeah, they can score. I mean, right now they're struggling in goal with Georgiev out, but that's one of those teams. If you give them too many opportunities, there's no way you're going to stop a team with that much talent. And I'm really concerned about the fact that they're going to have to play Carolina tomorrow, who's just, they're one of those teams. they force you into turnovers, and they can't afford to be turning the puck over to that team, especially the way Natchez is playing right now. He's flying. He's on another level.
Yeah. So it'll be a challenge for the Flyers, but hopefully they can play a strong game and maybe snag a surprise victory and steal a game away from Carolina. That hopefully is in the cards for the Flyers come tomorrow night when they take on the Carolina Hurricanes. But
Hopefully,
hopefully,
hopefully we
fingers.
can get that.
Hopefully,
You, you,
we'll
you
have
know
to
you
wait and
know I'm
see.
rooting for it, Maddie.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
Again, I couldn't
I'm just-
imagine why.
Yeah. Well, selfish reasons, but
Yeah, just a few.
I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to troll the Flyers. I'm telling you, as somebody who is looking at the way they're playing, it's just kind of getting, and they're also getting very lucky too. They're getting a lot of lucky bounces, the Canes as well.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah,
And
well, that happens when you're on a winning streak too. So
yeah, they do pile up when you're on the positive side of the scoreboard a little bit more often. Let's see here. Mike's saying, did you guys expect Boston and Pittsburgh to be this bad so far? I mean, Pittsburgh, we expected a little bit of a drop off. Boston, we were expecting to have some problems, but I don't think it would be this bad. I mean, it's been, straight up, hey, let's just blow it up kind of vibe going on with Boston and Pittsburgh. But you know what? Hey, couldn't have happened to two nicer teams. I hope they rot in hell and they have the worst time trying to figure out what's next in their life. It's like, good. It's about time those two fan bases suffered. Good. Spoiled rotten, both of them.
Yep.
Anyway.
Boston hasn't been that bad.
I mean,
they're just below hockey 500. They're not in a terrible spot. Pittsburgh, it's a whole nother conversation, but Boston has not been that bad.
Okay, for Boston standards, they've been bad.
They must hate their coach though, because I mean they have plenty of talent on that team, and they're not old. They're not really old anymore. I mean, the oldest players were gone last year, and they were 47, 20, and I can't remember how many overtime losses, but I know they won 47 games last year. I mean, it's hard to believe they've been struggling the way they've been struggling, but Swayman hasn't been playing well. I think he's only saving 88% of his shots. Not enough.
Gotcha.
He's being outplayed by Korpisalo, and that can't happen for Boston.
No, that's true. It should be the other way around.
Yeah.
What's up, Greg? Heather's saying, that's what I'm saying. I never want to not believe in my boys, but being realistic, especially if Kolosov is in net, I don't think we will come out on top against the Canes. Honestly, though, I don't even really think it matters who's in net. The fact of the matter is that whether you have Fedotov or Kolosov in net, if the Flyers either A, get into penalty trouble, B, play inconsistently through the entire 60 minutes, or C, are getting outshot, it don't matter who's in goal. You're not going to win the game. If any one of those three things come up and become a real issue for the Flyers, you could have anybody in goal. You could have Brodeur or Waugh in goal. And if you're running into any one of those three problems, unless they're having one of those nights where they're shutting you out, it's going to be a tough challenge to win any game. So it really doesn't matter if it's Kolosov or Fedotov in that.
Well, it doesn't help that this team's hurting too. So
that's
the other problem, guys.
Three of their top 6 guys are hurt. Well, I wouldn't say Zamula's in their top 5 or top 6 or what did I say, top 3? I wouldn't say Zamula's in the top 3, but still, having 3 of your essential starters hurting right now, it doesn't help. I mean, Zamula didn't play almost the entire third period last night. Drysdale's been out for the last couple weeks or last week. York is probably getting ready to come back, and we'll get more into that a little bit later. But
Gerson's out again too, which
this
really
isn't.
hurts.
It's not helping. It's not helping. But the thing too is, Maddie, you touched on a nice little point here a little while ago. Was this team is running into a little bit of penalty trouble. They're being a little too reckless with their sticks. Getting sticks up high, unnecessary trips. I mean, let's be fair. Flyers aren't getting some calls going their way either.
True.
So, I mean, last night I'm not really going to say too much about the officiating because they were only running 3. So
Right.
there were going to be missed calls. So I'm not going to really fault any referee for that. Not that I am the type that is going to blame the referee. But when you only have 3 referees on the ice, when you need to have 4, it's tough to get all the calls that you need, or all the calls that you want. But I mean, against Carolina, they in the first meeting they were down 3-4-0 at one point, fought all the way back. You just got to figure out a way to beat whoever's in net early, and if they can get a lead, I'm okay with the Flyers bouncing back. I think they could definitely do it. They need something positive to start this game off. They spend too much time, not so much in the last few games, but they've spent a lot of time in the last couple weeks having to dig themselves out of a hole. If they can get an early lead, maybe it's like 2-0 after the first period, that puts them in very good shape to bounce back against Carolina. I don't think listen, anything can happen. This is professional sports. I'm not ruling out any possibility of the Flyers being able to beat a team like Carolina, because they can. They have done it before. They play Carolina well. Don't know why, but they do. That's the one team they play really, really well consistently.
But not at home. They've had their problems with them at home the last couple of years.
Okay,
For
this is a
whatever
whole
reason,
new year. This is a whole new year.
I know, but I know that was last year. I'm just saying, but in recent games, they've had their problems at home against this team. It's just that they're a really good road team. They seem to, and the Flyers, for whatever reason, don't play. In my opinion, they don't play as well at home as they do on the road.
They've had problems in my opinion, they've had problems against anybody at home. They've had issues at home, to say the least. Again, they've been good on the road. They've had so-so moments at home. It's weird, but sometimes those can happen in hockey, where you get those teams that are 500 at home and they're great on the road. A team won a Stanley Cup doing that. So inexplicable, but it happens sometimes.
Guys, my team has the best record in the league on the road, and we suck at home.
So there you go.
Yeah,
it happens.
It's not. This is not something that doesn't happen a lot. For whatever reason, it seems like home teams in the NHL. Sometimes they try too hard. They want to make the perfect play. They want to please their fans instead of just playing their game and playing smart. I think a lot of these teams, when they go on the road, they play their game. They're not trying to impress anybody, and they just sit back and they play well defensively, and they're patient. It just seems like a lot of these teams aren't as patient as at home, because the fans start getting on them. The whole shebang. That's kind of what happens, and I think it affects the Flyers sometimes.
Yeah. John saying, I'm happy with a solid 60-minute game. Just play them tough. Don't take stupid penalties. I agree. Play a full 60. You know what I mean? That's what I've been preaching. All I want to see is a full 60-minute effort. I would like a win, of course, but at the same time, it's like, just give me the full 60. If I see that there's a lack of that, that's when we're going to have some problems. Again, as it goes forward, I think the Flyers have been getting better as the season's been going along. I think we've seen a lot more of that. Okay, they're not as fragile in the second period as they were early on in the year. There was a good stretch there where, the second period rolled around and the team left with it. They struggled. But I feel like they've gotten better with that. They've kind of gotten themselves a little bit more under control in terms of playing the full 60. But now, like we were talking about, got to be a little less, a little bit more disciplined. Just that's all we need right now. A little bit more discipline. I know it's hard to do. You get in a heated situation and you get frustrated very easily. And especially if, your shots aren't going in and they get a couple to go in, even if you're out shooting an opponent and they get a couple to go in and you've been doing everything right, but getting the puck in the back of the net. I get it. It can be hard to resist the temptation to either, try to force something or try to get aggressive on somebody and then let that frustration out. But you got to resist it. It can be hard, but it's one of the things that younger players, I think, too, Gotta learn it, and unfortunately, some circumstances, the only way to learn that is the hard way, and that is taking bad penalties and, letting them bite you in the ass. And you're like, okay, we learned a very valuable lesson today, didn't we, gentlemen? Don't take a stupid penalty and cost your team an opportunity to get back into a game. So,
Patience will be the key.
yes.
I still think we're missing something here because I think the one thing that this team isn't doing consistently, and it really does put a charge into your team, is getting out to an early lead.
Hmm.
They're just not doing it.
No.
The couple games that they have done it, they've won. It's not like they put themselves in a hole too early, and then they have to try and force plays to try and get themselves back in it. I mean, everybody wants to sit here and we want to talk about the home and road record. The home and road record's almost identical. So they're playing just as well at home as they are on the road. I'm not worried about last year. I'm not worried about the year before that. I'm worried about right now. They are 4-5-0 at home, and they are 4-4-2 on the road. So they're playing just as well on the road than they are at home. The thing they need to do is get an early lead. That's what they're not doing. And the times they have, like I said, the times they have done it, they've won. They've won those games. You get a 1-2 goal lead and then go from there. Playing from behind, you're gonna see what you saw last night. Forced plays, bad penalties because you're trying to take the puck. Great third period by the Flyers last night. Great third period, but when you're playing from behind consistently, you tire yourself out because you're forcing the game. Transition passes. Instead of working your way out of the zone and walking into the offensive zone, you're going for the home run pass, trying to make the quick transition to score on the rush. Instead of letting the game come to you and basically doing what Colorado did, basically that entire first period was control the puck in the offensive zone. Flyers never got a chance in the first period because they couldn't control the puck. They couldn't get the puck out. If they can do that against Carolina, there's no reason they can't win that game.
Agreed. That's Carolina's game though. That's what worries me. The Flyers have to be able to make sure that they get the puck out of the zone and not panic and not make bad passes.
So let's see. Mike saying, so is Nashville in rebuild mode after trying to retool? Maybe win now mode isn't there anymore.
It's too early in the season.
It's a rough patch right now, but I would say the time to really start panicking if you're Nashville is if your team really hasn't recovered at all and we're getting into January. That's when it's like, ooh, okay, now we got a little something to worry about here. But for now, still early. So
the hole they're digging for themselves is not going to be easy to get out of.
No, it is not. But if they get a couple of breaks to go their way and they manage to get some good win streaks going, they might be able to dig themselves out. It's not insurmountable. That's what we're saying, but it's definitely a gauntlet that they'll have to try and pull themselves through to try to get to the other side.
And heaven forbid if they start getting injuries.
That could be a problem.
See, that's the real problem when you start getting behind like that and you have to start chasing it. You get a couple of injuries and then all of a sudden you don't have a chance to chase it.
Right.
Benny, I agree with your comment. Sorry, Maddie.
Benny,
I agree. The one that just came in, net front presence. So important, and they don't do it consistently enough. Oddly enough, when they do it, they figure out ways to score. But, defensively, net front presence isn't always the best, but you always got to make sure you have a guy available to cover the slot because there's always going to be a guy, especially Carolina. They like putting guys in front of the goaltender because they like to take away the eyes.
Another thing, too, that I think the Flyers really are having a hard time taking advantage of is secondary opportunities. And I think that does go along with the net front presence. Besides deflections and whatnot, you do want to get those garbage goals, which I feel like sometimes the Flyers are just not there for those opportunities. And it's just I get it that if you're on the rush and you get a good save from a goalie, but it leaves a rebound open, maybe you're still on that rush and not everybody's in the zone yet, so you can't get on that puck in time. But there are times when they're in the zone and there's secondary opportunities and they're not pouncing on it in time. And it's like you gotta work a little harder there. Just work a little extra. Get on those loose pucks. I get it. There's sticks everywhere, but get on those loose pucks. Goalie's out of position. Get it.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the defensemen need to start coming in and helping out in that particular area. You know, there. How many times will you see the goalie make a save, and one of the a player on the opponent's team will kind of panic and just push the puck out of the way and not really clear it. You know, and the defense have to join in the play, and outnumber them in front of the net. That's something that they absolutely need to start doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think
When York comes back, I think you're going to see more of that. Because he's the one guy, and Drysdale both. I mean, not having both of those guys really hurts because they're your two best offensive defensemen, really.
So we got Priz saying just survive Natchez, keep it close. Mike is saying 5 teams that need to figure things out: Buffalo, Detroit, Columbus, Vancouver, Nashville.
Vancouver's in trouble. You know, JT Miller just took a personal time off. I don't know what that's all about. He took a leave of absence.
Oh man, that's not good. That's usually something serious.
Yeah, and Brock Besser is out, so Vancouver's got some problems now.
That's a tough loss for them. Mike's saying Minnesota is a real dark horse this year for a playoff run. Not cup, but a playoff run. They could upset teams.
No, they could realistically make a run.
It'd be probably
everybody sleeps on Minnesota. I don't know why.
It's
They're
just
consistently solid every single year.
It's recency bias. It's just the fact that Minnesota always finds a way to knock it out of the first round, so everybody just assumes that they're cannon fodder and that they're not going to get far.
Yeah. Philip Gustafson and Jesper Wallstedt are going to be a very good tandem this year. They've always been solid defensively. Their young offensive players are really starting to flourish now. Minnesota's going to be a dangerous team.
I mean, if they go on a deep run, if they get to the Western Conference Finals, they'll be tied for the best run in franchise history. That might be kind of sad to say, but it would be true. And let's see here. Tim's saying, "What up, guys? Do you see the Flyers being a playoff team by the end of the season?" Not right now. They're too inconsistent. Inconsistency is ultimately not going to lead you to the playoffs. So, but again, we're also in the side of playoffs would be nice, but it's not necessary for us to have a good year because we're looking at the situation of bigger picture. So that's the one thing. And so if we miss the playoffs, it is what it is. Our goal is to see where Mitchkov and also see where York and other players are that we're looking at in the future. You know, we're looking to see what they do this year more
they
so
could
than
make it this year, though.
I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibilities. It's just that right now with how they're playing, I would say no. Because, again, there's still some inconsistencies that are catching them off guard. And, again, Bri, you talked about them playing from behind all the time. That doesn't get you into the playoffs.
Nope.
And lack of net front presence, that don't get you in the playoffs. You know, like there's a couple of things that they're not strong on that would pretty much kick them out that quickly.
Here's the thing, though. At this point, Boston looks terrible. Okay. The Islanders are all banged up, really banged up. The Senators just can't seem to be consistent enough. You know, one day they're looking fantastic. Next game they're having horrible losses. You know, Detroit is Detroit, and they just can't get out of their own way. And you know, the Islanders, they've got 2 really bad losses right now. You know, they've got some guys that are hurt. You know, especially losing Barzell, they can't score. So if you look at it in both the Metro and the Atlantic, you know, the Penguins stink now. there's certainly a chance that they could sneak in and get that 8 spot. Because I think that there's only going to be 3 teams from the Atlantic this year that make the playoffs.
Well,
You know
we'll
what?
see.
Here's what's crazy. I know it's early, and I don't even know why I'm bringing it up, but hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn on those notifications. Don't miss anything HD has to offer. We got hockey, baseball, basketball, wrestling. Obviously, we got the football Eagles, one of the best teams in the NFL right now. So hit that like, hit that subscribe, get us live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. If you would rather get podcast format, we're everywhere you get your podcasts. But what I was going to say is Flyers are only a point out of a wild card spot right now, believe it or not.
That's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm. And it's
Well,
Boston.
again,
Boston currently holds that spot.
Yeah, there's some of the teams that have been really good over the years, are fading right now. I think it's there for them to take that 8 hole. I don't think there's going to be more than 3 teams in the Atlantic making the playoffs. So you could finish in the top 5, maybe not in the top 4, but the top 5, yeah, why not?
I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not taking too much. Like, it's November. I'm not really taking too much into this. But, yeah, I mean, Ottawa, like Brad brought up Ottawa. Ottawa's got a brand new coach. So they're still working out a system. Yeah, they're going to be up and down. Detroit needs to get their ass or their head out of their ass and get themselves an actual goaltender. That's all they're missing. Cam Talbot and Alex Lyon is not going to do it. And then, Buffalo's and they can't get out of their own way, to steal Brad's term or phrase.
They're an enigma.
I mean,
yeah.
But you are right, Brian, with Detroit. I mean, they lost to San Jose last night in overtime. And it's just like, ooh.
You can't lose to San Jose if you're Detroit.
I mean, that's pretty bad. I mean, in Ottawa, to go and piggyback off what you said, Brad, they lost to the Flyers in a game they should have won.
Yeah,
the Flyers should not have won that game.
They had no business losing that game, but and you know what? They gave up a horrible goal to
Michkov to
win. I mean, listen, nothing against Michkov, and Michkov can beat you from any angle, but that shot has to be stopped.
That was a bad goal.
Yeah.
He was out to lunch. That was a bad goal right there for the Flyers to win on that one.
That's a tough one to give up.
I'm total agreement with Prez. This is not the same San Jose team that they were in the first couple of weeks of the season.
No, you're right. There's a lot of fire there, and I like that about them. I think that Tyler Toffoli in particular has really kind of brought a lot to the team, and we talked about that in the offseason, and you brought it up, right? Tyler Toffoli coming onto the team is going to be huge, and it has been for the Sharks.
It helped. Well, you got him, Macklin, and I'm sorry, you have him, Celebrini, and Will Smith. I mean, that's a pretty good start.
And then
get things going, but you still, if you're Detroit, you cannot lose to that team. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you still don't want to lose.
I know they're playing better, but Detroit is a better team than San Jose. There's no way they should be losing that kind of a game.
Well, when I think I'm checking something real quick. Who I thought was in net was in net.
Husso?
It's going to be no.
Was he in goal?
No. Where is it? I think I skipped it. Where is he at? Wow, he didn't play that game. But now they got that. Now that the Sharks have Oskarov up, this team's going to start making a turn. They have enough veteran leadership on the back end to be able to play solid defense. Goaltending has been an issue for them for a long time. They have the offensive pieces in place to be a better team. I think, like I said earlier this year, I think San Jose is going to be a much improved team. They are going to probably finish ahead of a bunch of teams that nobody thought of. And they just have to get rolling, and they're starting to.
Right.
Blackwood's been great, by the way.
Blackwood's been pretty good.
He's going to end up getting traded by the trade deadline for sure. The way he's playing.
It depends on what
somebody's going to pick him up because everybody needs to improve their goaltending. Come if you're close to the playoffs. with a trade deadline, he might be on the move. So that's somebody they could trade and get a lot of value for if he continues to play the way he's been playing.
Well, it depends on who they would
Oh,
want to work with Oscarov. Do they want Blackwood or do they want Vanacek?
I don't
Anacek is going to
honestly.
end up on waivers the way he's been playing, and
I
he's
don't.
hurt.
I don't know. There's so many goaltenders on the market right now that can be starters for some of these other teams. I don't know if anybody's really going to look at Blackwood.
To be honest, though, I don't think Blackwood would be bad to have with Oscarov, honestly. I mean,
I agree with that.
yeah,
Well,
Blackwood's been playing
for right
solid.
now, that's what it's going to be because, as I said, Vanacek's hurt.
Well, I mean, even if Vanacek comes back, I would say, you know what? If Oscarov's playing well enough, I would just argue and say, you know what? Why don't you just work with Blackwood and Oscarov? Let the kid have his looks, and at the same time, you have a veteran backup or a veteran starter and tandem them up and see what you got out of them. Because if Blackwood's playing consistent, why not? Why not roll with it? I mean, hell, Priz is saying San Jose is 5-3-2 in their last 10, and that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So
They're heating
again,
up.
it's, why not? Might as well. And yes, Granlund has been having a really decent year. Eklund's been having a good year. I mean,
Eklund, Zetterland. Like
Zetterlund,
they're getting production from the guys that they need the production from, guys that need to step up this year.
right?
Even
I don't
Goodrow is
necessarily
scoring.
have too much. I don't have too much aspirations for Celebrini and the younger guys. Like, let them develop a little bit. Whatever happens at the end of the year happens. But if I'm San Jose, I'm just keeping things as similar as they have been because of how well that they're playing.
Right. Let's see here.
Keep forgetting that they traded for Liljegren.
Yeah. Which now apparently he wants to go by Liljegren now.
Yes.
Which I was like, is it because they called you Liljegren in Toronto and you want the stink off of you? Is that what it is? But anyway.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, the Rangers announcers were having all kinds of trouble pronouncing his name.
Oh, well, apparently he's a +4 in 9 games since being traded from Toronto. The Sharks keep bringing in young talent that has high upside for cheap. Well, again, you could thank Mike Greer for just looking at the team and saying, "Hey, we need to restock the shelves." So let's see here. What else we got? Tim saying, how many more years do you think the Flyers will extend John Tortorella's contract for? I mean, Torts right now, I can't say that it would be a massively long time, but I don't necessarily think that he's on the hot seat.
1 or 2
No,
years,
they
maybe.
continue to play competitively and block a lot of shots. I mean, they had how many block shots did they have last night? I think the number was 28. So they're blocking shots and trying to play good defense. If they continue along these lines, they're going to get better and better defensively, and he'll get his chance. He'll get his chance to win with this team. I don't think they're going to they pull the rug out from under him when he's sat through the rebuild. That wouldn't be right. I mean, unless they just completely fall off the map. And
I will say this: if things go well for the Flyers and continue, like say, whether it be this year or maybe next year, if they get into the playoffs, I could see Torts being there for maybe a playoff run for them, or maybe a couple. But I don't know if necessarily. And this all depends on if it happens soon. If it doesn't happen soon, then I could see him actually being there for just the rebuild process. And when things start to, okay, now we need to get serious about this because we're not rebuilding anymore. If they feel like Torts isn't the guy to get them in there and get them over the hump, then they will move on from him. But if things go well, if things are going well enough, and I could see it being where Torts is the coach when they first get back into the playoffs. I could see that being a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Briere is very adamant about Torts being the guy. So, I mean, he's probably going to get another year or two after this year, if not before. But this is the coach that they want for these guys right now. And honestly, he's getting the best out of most of these guys. He's definitely getting the best out of the young guys that you need to, you need them to step up and take the next step in their development. Some of the older guys, yeah, maybe not so much,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's I think Torts is doing fine. I think he's got a winning record as a head coach. I don't know what else people want. Like, I understand that people want the playoffs, and I'm with them too. But this is a process. Even Torts says it verbatim. It's a process. It's a process, and yeah, was it Benny? Yeah, I think it was Benny. Celebrini bringing back the 652s.
Yeah.
Crosby has them too.
Oh, let's see here. And then Priz also, I did say Eklund. When we were talking about the San Jose teams.
Okay.
Spoopy's saying about me being hesitant on Torts. I'm not being hesitant on Torts in terms of like where I think he's at. I just think it's one of those things of I don't really know how long I expect him to be here necessarily because again, I'm looking at it of the where are we going to be in the next few years? Because again, while Danny is full on Torts, things can change. And I'm not saying they're going to change tomorrow or they're going to change next year or the year after that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the moment that you start getting the inkling that things are starting to work, like it's counterproductive and Torts isn't getting what he needs out of the team and the team's not responding to him, you never know when that could happen. And it happens to every coach in the league. You really don't know. And I'm also not trying to necessarily put the cart before the horse because who knows what the Flyers will do. The Flyers might make playoffs this year. They might not. Might not happen next year either. I'm not trying to assume that, he's going to be here for 6 years or what have you, or he's going to be here for 2. I'm just trying to say, like, well, we don't really know. Everything's very fluid right now. Because, again, while we're solidly believing in Torts now and the rebuild's going, I would say, pretty well right now, we need to keep everything open. Let's not just assume that everything's solidly in place at this moment.
I agree. I mean, it's people just don't want to go through the process because they don't know what a proper rebuild is. So that's
Right.
simple. I mean, it's not like it's this is a process where we're going to see guys getting traded. We're going to see cap space starting to open up. The Flyers have never done a proper rebuild. They've always done a retool.
Right.
And sometimes the initial coach you want for the rebuild works out. Sometimes he doesn't. I think, again, I'm going to say this again. I just said it 2 minutes ago. I think Torch is doing fine with the roster that he has. And he can only do so much with the roster that he has. He can put his not every player that he has is built for his system, and that's okay. I mean, if you look at who expected Anthony Richard to be as good as he is or has been? He's an energy guy for sure. But that's a guy that might flourish in John Tortorella's system where, and I forget who brought it up. Somebody brought it up. Somebody brought up Farabee and Brink possibly going to Minnesota. I think it was Prez who may have brought it up. Maybe those two guys just aren't flourishing in his system, but they're going to flourish in Minnesota. Who's to say that the guy from Minnesota coming back isn't going to be the guy that is going to flourish in his system? This is what the process is. You're trying to find the guys that work. And you're trying to free up cap space so you can lure in some free agent veterans. You're trying to develop the young guys that you have. It's a process.
They also haven't had an opportunity to bring in anybody because of the cap situation that was created by previous management. So there's that too. They haven't been able to do it. Once they get a little salary cap help and they're able to bring in some players, then you can really evaluate Torts. But right now, it's not fair to do that to him.
Yeah.
With a lot of young players, and he's in teaching mode right now still.
I mean, there's a lot of guys, too, who aren't going to be lured to coming to a team that's rebuilding. It's realistic. Anaheim lured a couple guys. Why? Because they're leaders. They could be guys in the locker room to be leaned on. A lot of guys don't want that role. They just want to compete for a cup. They want to get top dollar. You're not going to get that from a rebuilding team. So until they start showing signs of putting it together, they're not going to lure any big name free agents. That might not be for another 2 years.
Who knows? But again, it all depends upon how the team's doing, where they're at, where Danny feels they're at that moment in time. It's all a matter of how they do this year and how they do next year. It's all a matter of, okay, where is this team at? Where's the level that this team's compete level at? Is it at the right place where they can say, okay, we can now start investing a little bit outside of the core and try to boost it up a little bit. But for now, we're still figuring that out. We haven't even really fully gotten it. Not to say we won't. It's just we haven't gotten there yet. So, speaking of the core and speaking of the team as well, the Flyers, unfortunately, have had a little visit from the injury bug. Decided to give them a little nibble. And unfortunately, like most teams, during a full 82 campaign, you're not going to avoid it. It's going to happen at some point, especially if you play in a team that's run by John Tortorella, who likes you to block shots. It's going to happen a lot, unfortunately. So, Bri, I do believe you have the injuries available to you. So please feel free to throw them out there.
Yeah, I got the updates as of this morning. This morning's practice, I should say. I'm going to answer Swoopy's question real quick before I get started here.
Sure.
It's possible. It's possible that they're putting them on IR so they don't rush them back. Once they go on IR, they have like 7 to 10 days where they can't play. So it's possible that they're just doing it just to give them the extra rest. And to what you said, Swoopy, is give some of these other guys an extra look. I mean, like I said, Anthony Richard's playing great. Some of these other guys that are coming up, I mean, the kid they got in the Kings trade a couple of years ago, he had a really good debut last night. He looked pretty good. Grands, yeah. It's just an opportunity for some of these young guys to kind of show off what they have. Emil Andre's getting a ton of time because of it. So they could be purposely be putting these guys on IR.
Did Grands get his? Was he officially given his first NHL point yesterday? Nice.
Yep. He had a
Congratulations to him.
Yep. He had the helper on Forrester's goal?
Yes. I believe that was the one.
Yeah. But as far as other injury updates, this one coming from Jackie Spiegel, both coming off of Twitter. After wrapping up practice, Igor Zamula on the ice after missing most of the third period. Drysdale in a non-contact jersey. Sanheim not out there, but sounds like it's a maintenance day. So load management, give Sanheim some time off, let him rest up before the game tomorrow night. Charlie O'Connell with his update, also saying full practice. Cam York is on the ice in a normal jersey, which is a good sign. Possibly could be back as early as tomorrow. Honestly, I don't know if I would expect him back tomorrow. I would give him another couple days just to make sure that he's 100%, but him being back in a normal jersey is a great sign. They need him back. And then, again, he brings up Drysdale in a non-contact. And then Sanheim, again, being a workload. No Andre, no Urson. Urson placed on IR for his groin. Probably just re-aggravated it, and they're going to give him a little extra time off so that can heal properly. Especially for a goaltender, that groin muscle, incredibly important, especially going side to side. Got to get that 100%. And Emil Andre, just day-to-day. I haven't heard anything about that, whether it's upper body, lower body. But it's day-to-day. Nothing serious from what I know.
Right. But I will say this, too, in response to the goaltending situation. With Urson going down, Swoopy, actually, ironically enough, brings him up. Urson really that hurt that he's on IR, or another reason to give the goalies a better chance? I mean, I will say this. I've actually been pretty fine with what I've seen from Kolosov and Fedotov. I
Same.
mean, I like what I'm seeing from them. I mean, Fedotov, I know he had a rough start at the beginning of the year, but it seems like he's calmed down, and it seems like he's starting to find where he's at his game, and that's a great thing to see. That's a great thing to see the big guy be able to find his spot. And Kolosov, I've really never had an issue with Kolosov's game. It's just I feel like a lot of times poor Kolosov's got thrown into the net at the worst possible time when the team decides they want to take a night off. So,
Yeah.
but so far I've been satisfied with both of those goaltenders, from their current play.
I mean, IR isn't really as long as you think it is, Swoopy. The IR is only 7 to 10 days. So, again, it could just be extra rest just to get that groin ready to go. I mean, Fedotov's really come around over the last few games. His side-to-side has looked better. Needs to be a little bit better with some of these softer goals that he's letting in, but that's just going to come with time. That's just, sometimes he's a little too tall. The pads kind of get in the way. They kind of cross up, but Kolosov, he just needs time. I'm not too worried about him. But yeah, I mean, Swoopy, it could be just as simple as, just allowing these guys to get some extra time.
All right, then. And, of course, Heather throwing out, that's my boy. I could only imagine what goaltender she's referring to with that particular post. But anyway.
Fedotov.
Yeah. Well, it was a mystery, and there you go, ruin it. But anyway.
You said it earlier. Where were you?
No. But for the people who just joined, we don't want them to know.
Okay.
Listen, it's her secret. It's her business if she wants to reveal it or not.
Oh, she's very adamant about it.
Anyway,
guys, Urson was playing extremely well when he got hurt.
Yes,
and he's played extremely well this season. So
don't get me wrong. I definitely want Urson in goal. It's just
when he's out there, he definitely gives the team the best chance to win.
Yeah. But again, while I love to see Urson in goal, and yes, he was playing well, I still got to give the flowers out to both Fedotov and Urson for getting put into his spot. Okay, let's see what you got. And I don't feel like Kolosov and Fedotov have been disappointed.
Wow. Okay.
This Heather Fedotov has a ring to it.
Okay.
You know what?
Oh,
it
boy.
does. It does. You know what? Let her dream. Let her dream.
Boy.
And let's see. Me Metal Mike saying best food at the Flyers game.
The Flyers game is just expensive now, man. I eat before I go.
He says crab fries and hot dogs. I mean, I gotta think about that one. I usually grab the popcorn. Popcorn's great there, honestly, to be honest with you. But
I don't eat there anymore. I'm not paying $15 for a single hot dog or.
I mean, don't go. Yeah, I mean,
I never eat inside of any stadium. So.
I agree, though. The prices are ridiculous.
And especially since Wells Fargo redid everything, I don't even know what's in there anymore.
Well, there's what's that cookie place called? Insomnia Cookie, I think, has a spot there.
Cheap asses. What?
Hey, Greg.
Actually, he pretty much hit the nail right on the head for me because I'm literally complaining that the food is way too expensive there.
I mean, Greg, listen, I still actually.
I'd rather.
That's accurate.
Last time I was there, I stopped at Primo's on the way. So,
Listen, I take a Primo's hoagie any day.
For the money that you get a better sandwich from Primo's.
I agree. Love Primo's. Primo's and Jersey Mike's.
Yeah.
Greg, are those barcodes only down near the ice level, brother? Because I don't recall them being up in the cheap seats.
Oh boy.
Just saying. Anyway, he also says you're spending $40+ on a ticket with another $40 in the arena. I would say that's higher.
Yeah, it's definitely higher.
$40.
I mean, even if you're spending 40 on yourself, that's ridiculous. I mean,
Let's
we
see.
know
$40 is
Greg
cheap
ain't
for
sitting up high.
a
I feel
hockey
like
ticket.
Greg is the type he's going to sit up high at a hockey game. He's going to go. He's going to sit down in the primo seats down there, man.
That explains why because I think he's agreeing that it is down in the ice level seats. Oh man.
Yeah, he's down there. My man Greg, he's not sitting up top with the what what do you got? Cheap asses like you and me.
Swoopy saying I was down Key West this week and a box of pizza with all the toppings and more was right around $45. Greg's saying I don't walk to upper decks. That's funny.
Meanwhile, I'm choking over here.
Yeah. Bryce.
It's fine. Don't worry about
dying.
me.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Fire talk forever.
What did the Darkwing in? Oh, Greg told the joke. And then that pretty much killed him. Write that on the epitaph.
I'm just happy I didn't. Never mind. I'm not going to say that.
That you didn't do a spit take?
Yeah. That's a lot nicer way than how I was going to say it.
Uh-huh.
Man.
Anyway.
Actually, you know what? Probably compared to where Greg is down there in Florida, everything up here is probably a hell of a lot cheaper.
I don't know. Well, he's saying that Key West, for Swoopy, the prices ain't normal down there.
It all makes sense now.
And then Mike's saying $40 for a hot dog, which is ridiculous.
No, I think it's like $7 now, which is still ridiculous.
So let's see here. So, gents, with the injuries that are piling up right now, do you think that there is a situation where the Flyers could run into some real big issues if a certain player does go down? And the reason I bring that up is, like, which player do you think would ultimately spell disaster for the team if that particular player goes down? And the reason I say it is because, again, like I said before, it is a Tortorella team. That's an aggressive style play, very defensive minded, but at the same time, you block a lot of shots. There's a lot of wear and tear on the body. So,
Konechny, Tippett, Couturier. I think if Couturier goes down this year, it's going to be massive, not just for the team, but for Couturier himself. Just, we want to see him get a full season, a full 82 out of him, just to prove that he can maintain that health like he did earlier in the year or earlier in his career before he had the back issues. That I think that would definitely hurt him. But yeah, TK, Tippett, any of the big name players.
Heather says TK. Mike says
that's another good one.
Mitchkov going down would suck. TK definitely from a leadership standpoint. I mean, he brings a ton of fire to the team, so that would definitely suck if he went down. He also goes on to say Mitchkov gets hurt. That's something we don't need. Oh no, definitely not.
Definitely not.
I mean, he's been taking everything like a champ. He's been getting hit pretty nasty every now and again. A couple of players he's been giving it back, but a couple players been graciously welcoming him to the league. And we haven't even really played that many rivals yet, which is even scarier when you think about that, because really the only main rival we faced is Boston. When you really look at the schedule, we haven't faced Pittsburgh yet. We haven't faced the Rangers yet, which, I mean, oh boy, when we go and face the Rangers, that's going to be fun. And then we haven't faced the Devils yet. So it's like, we haven't really faced anybody. All we faced is Boston.
Well, you face the Panthers, who are the dirtiest team in the league.
Yeah, but the Panthers aren't a rival. So, I mean, I was just talking strictly on that heated exchange. When you face a rival, it's a totally different ballgame, you know? I mean, hell, the Islanders are banged up to hell and back, but let's be honest here. Whoever the Islanders have, they'll get a little juice in them if they got to play the Rangers that night. So, you know.
Oh, the Islanders are always starting fights. That's their game, especially against the Rangers.
You guys remember the game that they played against Pittsburgh where they had like almost bench clearing brawls that night? I think it was right after DiPietro got one hit and knocked down to the ice. It was the
Oh, the
very next
Islanders.
time.
You're talking about the Islanders in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
that
Oh
game.
man, they had.
where-
Yeah, they had.
Yeah, they
Some bad
started
ones.
nothing but goons on that night.
Yep.
Good Lord.
Yeah, that was
Man.
when they were
every
still in the NASA Coliseum. Yeah, I remember that. Oh my God, that was a mess.
I mean, every team does it. It's,
Yeah, but
no team's different from any other.
no,
What was it last year when the Rangers and the Devils sent out their fourth lines and they had that line brawl at the start of the game? Like,
Oh yeah.
it's
Well, the
literally
Rangers and
every
the
team.
Devils
No
have done
team is
that.
different.
The Rangers
No, I
and
get
Devils have done that a few times. That's not the first time that's happened.
But the reason why I bring that one up is because that one's like one of the more infamous moments in NHL history in recent memory because of what
Well, they
had
had more than
happened.
one. They had more than one that night.
Yeah, it was like literally it sparked off. One sparked off another and sparked off another. Ironically, all of it was started by Matt Cook, who was a piece of shit. So,
Oh,
you know,
geez.
that adds on to it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, he.
I don't know why Anaheim is having such a terrible time against this goaltender.
by the way, Priz wants to know if that's a Getzlaf jersey.
Nah, Paul Correa. Did you really have to
And-
ask?
I mean,
It's like you don't know me, Priz.
What, you have no love for Getzlaf?
No, I have plenty of love for Getzlaw, but he's not my favorite Duck. I have like 7 Paul Correa jerseys, all different.
Mike bringing up Coots, that's of course definitely. And we can't afford to lose Coots on the IR. Absolutely not. Greg saying, yeah, it's any high offensive guys. They already don't score enough and can't lose one of those guys for extended periods of time.
That's
I agree. And Heather does bring up the Black Friday game coming up against the Rangers. That will be a huge night. And let's see here. Priz saying can't be the dirtiest when Trouba is on the Rangers.
a fair
Truba
point.
is not a dirty player. So
Priz starting fights here. Shit stirring.
okay, stop,
Okay.
stop
Let
that.
the chirping
Okay.
begins. And let's see here.
Anybody that's a fan of Bobby Clark has no business ever talking about a dirty player. Sorry,
Well-
guys.
I mean, Trouba did headhunt Martin Necas in the playoffs, and then he did blatantly try and chicken wing somebody. So
He hits. He's a big guy, and he hits with his shoulder. He never leaves his feet.
stop it. You
No.
really, you and I had this argument in the playoffs last year. He literally went like this.
Huh?
That's not
He
dirty.
hits with his shoulder.
Stop it.
Just like with Crosby and
Stop
all
it.
the other crybabies that
Stop
cry about
it.
Trouba.
No, because you know what? He headhunted Necas, missed, and almost broke his own neck. And then again,
The only time
in that
the
same
only time
series, he tried
the
to
only time he
try to
actually
elbow
did-
somebody. You need to.
The only time he
take
ever
the
did
blinders
something
off.
really dirty was against Florida, and he missed. He almost killed himself.
Which again, if he's doing it more than once, that does kind of sound like it's a bit of a habitual problem. Just saying.
He did it in Winnipeg too. It's not just because he's a Ranger.
He's
I just-
a hitter. He hits.
I'm just-
That's
I'm
what
just-
he does.
I mean, Scott
Okay,
Stevens was just a hitter back in the
disputing
day
that. It's
too,
what
right?
he's doing.
Just saying.
Well,
He's left his feet multiple occasions. He sticks
does
his
not-
elbow
he does
out
not
every
aim
once
for
in a
the head.
while.
it's just like the Reeves hit. Okay, and
Toss me some, Mike. Toss me some.
it's just like the Reeves hit. Okay, and I watched that several times. That was a charge, but he was not aiming for the guy's
No.
head.
No, you know what? If Nurse had his head up, he would have been able to avoid it. But Jacob Trouba, just in the playoffs last year alone, had 2 incidents where it was just abundantly clear he was trying to take somebody out.
That's what he does, but he does it clean.
But sticking your elbow out and chicken winging somebody
He doesn't
isn't
stick his
legal.
elbow up. He uses his shoulder. He hits with his
Hang on.
shoulder.
Hang
Watch
on.
the way
this
he
is where
hits.
YouTube's great. This is where YouTube's great because you know what? You're just like you said last year when Shesterkin had whatever. I'm just gonna find this real quick.
Well,
Because
Shesterkin, what
Trouba
does
is not
Shesterkin
clean
do?
by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, this is good. This is what it's all about. Pris saying he literally tried to pull a playing headbutt. Heather says repeated actions aren't mistakes; they're choices. Greg also says, yeah, the Reeves hit wasn't as dirty as everyone made it seem.
It wasn't. I watched it. I watched it like a bunch of times before I made the comment on the internet about him. That was not. That was not. It was a charge, but it was not. That was not a dirty hit. He led with his shoulders, and he never left his feet.
Mike saying
Here's the initial
chicken
hit that I
wing,
was telling you about.
Well,
This
hold
is
on.
Trouba going after
Oh,
Natchez.
okay.
You're going to sit here and really tell me that that's clean.
Huh? I could barely see it.
Well, I had the poll up.
It's coming back.
Let's try it again.
The replay's coming. Don't worry.
Okay.
He literally tried taking out Martin Natchez. You're going to tell me that's clean. He almost killed himself. He almost broke his own neck.
Was that the one where he dove?
Yeah, that one there. That's clean.
That was a charge.
And he's got his elbow out.
He got his elbow out because he was running into the boards.
He's trying to hit him with the elbow, Brad. What are you talking about?
You know what?
He put his arm out. He put his arm out to protect himself because he was diving into the boards.
You know what's funny about that? If he had gone through the glass, he would have taken out an entire row of Rangers fans. That's what's actually kind of funny about that. I know they're in the Garden, but it's hilarious if you think about it.
You see my mouse cursor? That here is going for his head. That's not trying to brace for a hit.
Yeah, and he missed him.
Okay, so that makes it even cleaner.
Oh, he didn't hit him.
Okay, so he failed attempt at being dirty. That makes it cleaner?
Yeah, if you don't hit him.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't matter. He didn't hit him.
The attempt is there.
The attempt is there, but he didn't hit him.
Like saying Superman Trouba.
He didn't actually take him out of the game. He still played that.
What up, Wills? You came in at a great time.
You really gonna sit there and tell me that's not an attempt to take somebody out? And I know Brad Marchand has absolutely said that guys are going to take guys out, and that's whatever. But that's blatantly. You're gonna sit there and tell me that's still clean?
No, it's not. Definitely not. However, I can tell you this: don't make like the Canes were clean last year either, because they were doing a lot of shit behind the play too.
Okay, but they weren't blatantly obvious like that one was.
Oh, they were plenty of blatantly obvious. That was a very chippy series.
Anytime anybody touched a Ranger, you were calling for a penalty or that was a dirty hit.
Well, I'm talking about more of the crap that Matthew Tkachuk was pulling last year, and then diving when somebody touched him.
Let's see if I can pull it up. Are they going to show it? Are they going to let me pull it up? Oh, yep, here it is.
Okay, here, let me take the poll off. Okay.
All right, hang on. Let me get this right where I want it.
Well, Wills is saying, I hate the Rangers, but I agree. If it doesn't make contact, you can't penalize them. Definitely dirty, though.
No, it's definitely dirty. You can't. I'm not saying he deserved a penalty for it, but the attempt to take somebody out was there, just like it was here. Like he's blatantly obvious. There's the elbow coming out. You gonna sit there and tell me that's not dirty either?
Who did he hit?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, it definitely matters.
It does not matter.
No, it does. That's not true.
I'm trying to see.
It
was Rodriguez.
It doesn't matter. That's going to make you a dirty player regardless. If Gainey Malkin,
you might want to hit cancel on that, Bri.
Huh?
It'll be all right.
Well,
see, did you see that? It says includes dirty hits.
Malkin with his stick knocking people's teeth out. I'm sorry.
He's dirty too.
Yeah, he is dirty. And so is Crosby.
Don't defend Trouba when he's guilty as hell as being a dirty player. And he's been that way his entire career, even going back to Winnipeg. I'm not saying it just because he's a Ranger. I'm saying it because that's who he is.
Priz says intent is what matters. And I will say this. There's a good example to bring up, and this is actually knocking a flyer. The Florida Panthers had a really good up-and-coming player in David Booth. And Mike Richards took him out. And it was a dirty play.
Mhm.
Looking back on it, David Booth was in a vulnerable spot. Richards got his elbow up right in his jaw, and Richards saw it. And he had plenty of time to make the decision, and he did it. And Richards was known to be a very on-edge player. That's one of the things that we loved about him. But looking back on it, it's like, yeah, that's a dirty play. And it put Booth down for a while. It was so scary. Everyone stopped. The play died off. Even Richards was shook up because he didn't even realize how bad he hit him until he looked and he saw Booth wasn't moving. They had to cart him off the ice.
I mean, Dustin Brown, dirty player. He need guys. Matt Cook. He took
yeah.
out. He ended Mark Savard's career.
Listen, and Darius Kasparaitis and Ulf Samuelsson, all those guys. I know.
Yes.
That.
But just because your guy's wearing your jersey doesn't mean you have to wear the blinders and say he's not dirty.
He's not most of the time. Most of the time, when he gives big hits, he gets big hits, but they're usually clean. So last year, those hits were bad. I can't defend them, but he's most of the time he's a clean player. He hits with his shoulder, just like the hit on Crosby. If you want to show the hit on Crosby, that was a clean hit. He hit him with his shoulder. Crosby had his head down, and Crosby has no right to ever complain after what he did to Mark Mafeau with that slash, cut off the top of his finger.
Again,
that did happen.
You can have a couple clean hits and still be a dirty player.
Oh, I agree.
And Jacob Trouba falls in that category.
You don't compare it to Matt Cook.
I'm not comparing him to Matt Cook. I'm still saying he's a dirty player.
Him or Barn.
You can't defend Jacob Trouba.
Some of those guys. It's not the same. It's not the same kind of play.
Well, I think we can all agree that Trouba is as dirty as Pigpen.
There's a long list of dirty players in the league. It is what it is.
Nick Delorier's function on the Flyers sure isn't to score goals. So let's.
Oh no, it is to
Nick
stir
Delorier
shit.
is not a dirty player. Nick Delorier goes out and he plays a physical game. How many times has Nick Delorier been suspended?
I don't know.
None. I can tell you that right now. I've watched him in 3 different organizations. He has never been suspended. He plays clean. He plays fair. He plays hard. He'll find himself in the penalty box every once in a while, but
every once in a while,
he's never done anything to be deemed a dirty player.
Come on, Brian.
Mike's saying Marchand is dirty. Well, he's dirty because he likes
Marchand
to lick
is dirty.
people. That's pretty disgusting.
Marchand's dirty.
Yeah, the fact that he likes to lick people, that's like, that's pretty unsanitary.
Yeah, he's dirty in a couple of different ways.
Yeah. And he's the captain of Boston. Are you proud of that, Bruins? Anyway.
Oh, I don't think they care.
I don't think they do at all.
No.
No, they love him.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Why wouldn't they?
Right.
If he was on your team, you'd love him too.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, I could go back to Dale Hunter and Esa Tikkanen. Two of the dirtiest players ever, too.
Oh, well, Dale Hunter, perfect example of intent. I mean, who was the Islander he took out?
Pierre Turgeon?
Yes. After Turgeon scored the OT winner, and he absolutely crushed him when it's like, you lost.
From behind.
And that's what you do?
Yeah. From behind. Yeah, and he got suspended 25 games, too.
And he deserved it, because that was uncalled for.
Definitely did.
I mean, like I said, there's a long list of players who take hits a little too far.
A lot worse than that, though.
Yeah.
Some of them, yeah.
Heather wants to see the hit on Crosby.
Biggest
too bad we
bitch
can't get the Trouba hit on Crosby in the playoffs.
I mean,
I could if I wanted to, but that wasn't part of my point. So
yeah, that was a clean hit.
Okay, and
just saying,
a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
He gets plenty of clean hits.
The clock is right twice in a day. So even a dirty hitter can have a clean hit once in a while.
He hit somebody on the Flames. I can't remember who it was. The guy that they signed as a free agent for like $8 million a year from Colorado. Wasn't anything.
Oh crap! What is his name? Is it Kadri?
Kadri, yeah.
Yeah.
He nailed him. Kadri didn't even have a problem. Kadri was laughing.
Kadri, to be fair, Kadri probably had it coming because Kadri's been known to be a shit stirrer. So he probably had it coming, honestly.
I don't remember if he had it coming, but I do know that he was coming in from the right wing and he was trying to do a Phil Esposito move where he was leaning on the defenseman, and then Truba came in and just separated him from the puck.
Right. Now, again, though, I would say that's kind of karma catching up with Kadri, because Kadri's been suspended more than once for a couple of hits he threw out when he was a Toronto Maple Leaf.
Kadri was laughing. He went flying and then he got up and he was laughing.
Doesn't surprise me. No. Doesn't surprise me at all, because Kadri's probably just like, okay, you're trying to do what I like to do. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's him, though. He's the exception to the rule.
Or he didn't catch him like he thought he would.
Right.
Yeah, well, maybe. Maybe he was laughing because he didn't get killed.
Maybe. He's just like, I'm alive. And then he just started giggling. Anyway. So.
I do want to mention, though, last year in the playoffs, Trouba was playing with a broken foot. Just thought I'd bring that up.
Okay. You want me to send him like a box of Oreos or something?
No, I'm just mentioning that, he was out there with a broken foot, which, a lot of guys wouldn't be playing with a broken foot.
It's not Oreos, Brad.
The NHL.
Brad wants you to
send. A lot of guys playing with a lot of serious injuries at that point.
Brad wants you to send him a bouquet of red, white, and blue roses. That's what he wants you to send.
Oh, no, actually, I'm mad at Trouba for not letting them trade him at the beginning of the season. Because we could have gotten somebody really good in free agency instead of him. Because at this point of his career, we're paying him $8 million, and he's now a third pair defenseman. So
why don't you just trade him to Detroit and go get Patrick Kane back?
Detroit wanted him, but he refused to go there.
Well, he should have asked for Patrick Kane.
He wants a cup. I don't blame him.
Yeah, no, I don't blame him either.
All right. The Pris saying, so you're saying never trust a long-legged pig pen. On that note, I think that'll pretty much take care of this edition of Flyers Talk A2D. I think at one point we were on the rails. I think. But then again, at the same time, it's hard to tell. The train wreck was so devastating.
Usually about the first 10 to 15 minutes, and then after that, it kind of goes downhill from there.
It's all fuzzy after that one. Yeah, I agree. So next week on the show, we will still not have a game to react to because the Flyers will still be continuing their Monday night binge, and they will be playing Vegas next week on that Monday night, and it'll be in Philly. So, boy, that's going to be fun. Vegas doing what they like to do, and that's dunk on teams. So that'll be an interesting challenge for the Flyers when the Golden Knights come to town for their first visit. Actually, they're only visiting Philly.
Never bet against the house. They will.
They always win.
They always figure out a way to compete.
They do.
And they're finally healthy. And they're getting production from everybody that they should be.
I mean, I know we keep talking about how this team might win a cup, this team might win a cup. Watch Vegas just win a second one. Just be like, hey, you guys thought we were done? Hey, we're back. We want to be a new dynasty. Like, oh, okay, because we didn't get enough of that. Anyway.
I never put anything past Vegas.
No. So, with that, we thank you all for joining us for Flyers Talk A2D. Once again, brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy with the Dr. Paul Vidal. Next week, we'll be back, and we will have our post-game review of Flyers in Vegas and other major topics that are going on around the hockey and Flyer world. So we hope everybody stays safe out there and also stay healthy. And hopefully everybody's been getting their early shopping done for Thanksgiving before it's time to start the Christmas shopping. Got to get ready for the feast early sometimes. And we hope to see you guys next week right here on A2DRadio.com. Until then, like I said, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace and love, everyone.